Hey everybody, welcome to Crackpot, the podcast where each and every week we dive into a different conspiracy theory and discuss the merits or the demerits of each. We're your hosts. I'm Tim.
And I'm Zach.
Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have been wanting to do this episode probably since we started.
Okay.
This has been in the back of my mind. We kind of touched on it with Barney and Betty Hill. I mean, I guess we didn't just kind of touch on it. We talked about an alien abduction in thorough detail, but this is a little bit different.
So is this because you had read this book before, or is this kind of a new thing? You're just interested in the topic itself?
Yeah, well, I'm super fascinated with the topic of alien abductions, but I got the book, I want to say 6-8 months ago, and I'm like, okay, this is how we talk about this in a broader sense, in a very fascinating sense. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, individual abduction cases, true or not, hoax or reality or somewhere in between, it's all fascinating. It's all interesting. But as, even if you subscribe to the idea that, a human is taken away in a, hyper-intelligent spacecraft by beings from another planet or who knows what, it still gets old after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can you tell the same story, more or less, even though it's absolutely crazy? We're going to talk about it with a very, very big lens. We're going to talk about the phenomenon of alien abduction.
Okay.
We're going to talk about what it means, who it happens to, and we're going to talk about, well, if it's not real, what the heck is it? Because a lot of people are saying that they're experiencing this thing.
Got it. Okay.
So the book in question, if you're not watching the video, is called Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, Alien Abduction, UFOs, and the Conference at MIT by C.D.B. Bryan, the author. So Cortland Dixon Barnes Bryan, born 1936, died about 11 years ago in 2009. Yale-educated guy. Professor of writing. He served in South Korea as an intelligence officer, and he worked for the University of Iowa Writers Workshop, which is a very prestigious and pretty cool group. And he, while there, assessed the works of none other than Tom Wolfe, Richard Ford, Kurt Vonnegut, William F. Buckley, and more, of course. But he's most famous, actually, for a book he wrote called Friendly Fire, which was later turned into a movie. Not read it or seen it, but that's kind of, when you Google them, that's what shows up first. Not this, unfortunately, because this is awesome, and check it out if you like this. But this, Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, was the last book he wrote, and it was published in 1995. Questions yet?
None.
Perfect. All right. It's about a conference. It's about a conference at MIT. You might have gathered that from the title. This conference happened in 1992. It was the Abduction Study Conference, hosted at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute for Technology. It was a 5-day conference from June 13th to June 17th. They invited famous psychiatrists, doctors, psychologists, therapists, and some, not a lot, but some witnesses or abductees in to talk as well. But the idea was not to say, this is what happened to me, isn't it weird? And the idea was not to say, this is true, this is not true. The idea was to say, look, something's happening. And science laughs at us when you say little green men took me into their spaceship, but clearly something is happening, and this is an opportunity for us to sit down and start talking about this, because unless we talk about it, no one's really going to be able to understand what it is we're dealing with. Maybe it's aliens, maybe it's not, I don't know, but let's open the dialogue, because what is science if not trying to, pursue knowledge, right?
Right. This reminds me a little bit, too, of if you're to approach something that all of humankind experiences, such as we had talked about the old Hague syndrome, right? Seeing that before falling asleep. cuts across cultures, all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's something going on inside our brains, or perhaps it's something else entirely.
Exactly.
Reminds me of this.
Exactly. So, 5-day conference, co-chaired, two gentlemen. One was 51-year-old David E. Pritchard. He was a physics professor at MIT, Harvard PhD. He taught atomic and molecular physics, and he was a winner of the Broida Prize, which is a biannual award given out for advancements in atomic and molecular physics, essentially. So kind of a smart dude. The other co-chair was John E. Mack, Dr. Mack. If you're at all interested in the abduction world, I guess you'll come across his name inevitably. And he was 63 years old. Was cum laude graduate of Harvard Medical School, former head of the Department of Psychiatry at Cambridge Hospital and Harvard Medical School, professor of psychiatry, and he authored or co-authored more than 150 scientific papers, and is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. These are the gentlemen that said, let's talk about alien abductions.
Okay.
So, a little bit of credence, a little bit of weight behind the symposium.
Some academic credentials, if you will.
Right.